Okay. We got some audio here. How's everybody doing? It's Joseph Sunderman, Creative Technologist, not the Creative Technologist, just a Creative Technologist like the rest of you. Welcome. All right. Go ahead and turn that music down. There we go. Keep just a little bit more there. We in the very subtle background, way back there. What's going on, everybody? Joseph Sunderman here. And yes, I am well aware I was not here last week. Don't freak out. You know, I could tell that the whole world was just devastated because of the lack of presence of sessions. What would we do without Joseph here to guide us? It's okay. I'm back. Welcome to episode 30, the big 30. Oh my goodness, 30 weeks of doing this. Now, last week was rough, and it was very overwhelming for me, juggling a lot of things. This show's very important to me. There's nobody watching this. I know I kid around, but the whole premise of this thing is to show my value, my worth, my determination for really bringing this modern workforce thing to fruition. You know, there's so much behind what I'm doing and how many people I support and help. And as I go through this journey of mine, as I transition and mature, part of evolution, part of humanity is taking what we learn and passing that down. And we live and see that I remember growing up, cell phones were not a thing. In fact, when I was like 8 years old, my stepdad had a car phone that he had to keep with him because of his work that he did. He worked with hazardous materials. And this was no small thing. Like, this was pretty crazy seeing, like, they used to have like these huge bags that had a battery, like all this stuff just to operate a cell phone. And it had a wire that ran to this big bag, and it was like some military looking thing. Anyway, pagers, you know, you heard about last month or whenever it was with the attack with the pagers. You know, those things still exist. Like, what in the world? I don't know. I got a little overwhelmed last week. Things are going crazy, and the show means a lot to me, but I couldn't, definitely wasn't happening at 1:00. And I've moved times around here and there, but it's all about being consistent. And for 30 weeks out of this year, I didn't start until early March or whatever it was. But every week except for 3 of them, this show did not happen. Before last week, I had a 2-week vacation. That was perfectly okay, but I've actually missed a week now. That's like missing a day of work through the year. Like, what? And shout out to Brad Epling for helping drive that aspiration in my mind, because that kid never missed a day of, like, K through 12, never missed one day. And they gave him a piece of paper for it, and everybody's like, "Oh, you get us a piece of paper. What the blah, blah, blah." If that's all you see is what you get, if that's all you can see that he got out of doing that accomplishment, Brad is one hell of a dependable guy. Even to this day, I know if I called Brad and I needed help bad enough, Brad would help me. And I would help him as well. Anyway, so Joe missed an episode, and he's taking it hard, and he's taking this much time out of the show to talk about it. But hey, that's part of my transition, understanding. And I'm in a season right now where I have to balance. I have to live a little more. There is a point in your life where you do grind, and I think you have to, if you fall behind and get out of your state that you want to be in, you can get back to a good place eventually. I wanted to get there like yesterday. I wanted to have the ability to have a home and vehicles and appliances and vacations without stressing. I mean, I still stress, don't get me wrong. But the real struggle, the real stress comes from not having a plan, not being clear about where you're going. Today, we're going to talk about development. and why it's so important for a creative technologist to develop. We're going to take some time to reflect with where the creative tech is today, and where it is in its mission under ICORA, secure IT management for the modern workforce, and why we're even doing these sessions, and why I'm doing all this, and why I'm beating myself up for it. It's all about growth. That's the first topic today. We're going to get into growth and why do creative technologists need to know what development is and to take it serial? I'm going to take you guys to the grocery store today because we're going to get super cereal. We're going to get cereal. Oh, God, I've been watching way too much South Park, so bear with me here. Mine's all over the place. All right. So, yes, growth. How do we grow and quit being pissed off at the things we can't control and start managing them? At what point in our life do we get to a point to where we start managing our finances in a way that isn't like, ooh, squirrel, go spend some money? Quit being reactive in everything in life and start planning and developing systems to help us get through. So development is crucial because of growth. How do creative technologists develop things? Well, through creativity. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, what it means to be creative. Because there's a problem happening. And a creative technologist knows their tools all around them and is able to utilize those tools in a creative way to solve a problem. It's all zeros and ones. It's all just information, a column or a Excel square where you're just filling information. You just got to grab it, got to bring that information to see it on some kind of dashboard that gives you ability to make quick decisions, to keep things going. You got to have systems and you have to develop all of this. Development is what brings it all together. And what we do, what you need to know as a creative tech, what do you do with development? How do you take away from this? And I think we screwed up on the third topic a little bit. I did this in such a rush today's episode. Oh my God. We were going to do reflection. Like maybe we take episode 30, we just reflect on where we are and have a up top to bottom. And I was like, no, wait a minute. I think we got 20 more weeks to go before we get there. Let's have that reflection on episode 50. 30 is just a weird number to me. I was looking for a quick way out of not doing the focus with 3 topics today. I wanted to start on time. I was 5 minutes late. And if I would have spent an extra 5 minutes, maybe been 10 minutes late, we wouldn't have a third topic of transference. So, but it has a place while I was doing it. It doesn't match with our why, what, and how. Or why is this important to the creative tech? Let me back up a little bit more. Focus has 3 parts to it. The focus is the main point of the discussion. We're talking about development today. There are 3 topics underneath that, but the 3 topics aren't just picked out of random. They're picked based off of why is this important to the creative technologists, the focus that is. How are we using it to effectively, support our client organizations through the modern workforce? And number 3 is, what do you need to know to take away from this so that way you can develop and do your thing too? Well, transference is about, once you develop something and you have that system, you got to transfer it to others. You got to empower others with those systems. Either sell it to somebody, let them use it for their business or their personal use. Train them on how to do it themselves if there's no actual tools or it's more processed than it is anything. But what you're doing is you're developing ways of solving problems, and you need to take that knowledge and those systems that you create. You need to get others to use them. You need to get them to, and that's what this all comes down to. The more your systems get used, the more people utilize your frameworks or they meet with you to get that coaching, whatever it may be. There's value there. How you exchange value. Like right now, we're in a season of doing free sessions with our clients. At some point, they're going to be valuable enough to where we're getting value out of doing them with people for free because we're learning how to get our frameworks right. Remember, when we started this whole concept, we didn't have a framework. We didn't have focus with topics. I mean, Icora had something similar to that for businesses and large teams, but we didn't have anything for the individual. Instead of reinventing the wheel, we're taking what we already developed at Icora, all that creative work that we did, and we're transferring that to the creative tech. So that's what today's focus is on: development. That's why it's important. That's how we deal with things, is through creativity. And what you need to know is transference. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more towards the end of the episode. All right. Also on today's agenda for the show, we're going to catch up on some things I've been working on and what's been going on. Talk to you a little bit about why I was late last week, or didn't do a show last week. Not late, but rather just no call, no show. And we'll take a look at the current status of the tribe. We'll see where we're at as a tribe, and maybe look at the influence database, a tool that we're developing to use to help us engage and work with other creative techs. All right. We are about 10 minutes in. Yeah, 10 minutes in, right? 12, 13 minutes in, something like that. So let's go ahead and dive in to the first topic today, in growth. What do we mean by growth when we talk about development? Like development, growth. Can you take somebody that's my age, 40, almost 45 years old, and get them, coach them to change their habits and their ways? Can you teach an old dog new tricks? You can. But there's one caveat to that. The dog has to want it. The dog has to want to be taught new tricks. I'm sure if you throw some treats in front of them, he'll want it. So, anyway, enough of the dog analogy. Reflecting back on what I've been doing through life, and that can only talk to my experience, right? I'm not going to talk about other people's experiences. I'd be talking through them. I'm going to talk to you about what I've went through and how I've got to where I am on my journey, and what I see in others as I help, transfer my systems and get others to use my systems, how I've seen that over time evolve and help not just myself, but those I'm empowering. I'll back up to when I still lived in Kenton, right around the time that, right before I moved down to Cincinnati. Let's put it that way. I was working for a small company called Hardin Net. I wasn't even working for them, really. I was working for a factory, International Paper, putting paper cups in a box. Long story. Anyway, I was going to school at ITT Tech. Not a very prestigious school. If you've never heard of it, you're probably very young. And I never did get my commercial if you have heard of it, so that sucks. Bottom line is I was going to school, and I met this Amish guy doing a job, because at school they'd hang up jobs on these little community boards or whatever, and they would try to get you into projects where there's all kinds of projects throughout Columbus, Ohio. And one of them was Bank of America was purchased by Chase, I believe, and they needed to take all the offices and move those to the new Polaris campus where Chase is. So here we are going and tearing down all these workstations from all these desks. These people just lost their jobs. It was a pretty crazy experience, for me anyway, working in factories and being a high school dropout, playing music, and thinking I was going to be a rock star until I was in my mid-20s. Yeah. So here I am in my mid-20s, starting to work with a bank and stuff. High school dropout, like to party. Not typically somebody you would see inside of a bank doing work. But anyway, just looking back at that time and meeting this guy named Sam that used to be Amish, that's going to school, saw the same job posting as I did, and here we are working at this school together, or at this bank together, doing this job. And we start shooting the shit and finds out he lives 20 minutes from where I live, and we're both driving an hour and a half. Hey, let's carpool. Cool, yeah, all right. Really goofy guy, but Sam's a great guy, and I learned that he actually has his own little project going where he's putting radios up on antennas on the sides of houses so people can get high-speed internet. You see, Sam lived out in the middle of nowhere. He couldn't get internet. So, or at least high-speed internet anyway. We all had dial-up. This is kids. I'm sorry if this is probably for the older people. I'm an old fart, so that's how this works. Anyway, he didn't want dial-up internet. He wanted to be able to play, Call of Duty or whatever. I don't think we had Call of Duty back then. I don't know. But he wanted high-speed internet. Couldn't get it anywhere. So there's on 31, there's a grain leg in a little town called Mount Victory. The grain leg's the tallest thing in the middle of the town. There is no buildings that are 3-4 stories tall. No, the biggest thing in this little town, I think it's like the Amish capital, or not probably the Amish capital of the world, but it's the antique place of the world or something like that. Anyway, he gets with this grain leg and says, hey, if I put this radio up on top of your place and have internet installed here, I'll pay that internet bill, let you use it if you let me put this little radio up on top of your town. And they were like, free high-speed internet for us? You got it, Sam, do your thing. Sam puts a little radio up on top of their grain leg that his house has a radio on it that can see that. And the line of sight on these things back then was like 15 miles. I could only imagine what we could do today. But you had to have what's called line of sight. If there was a tree in your way and your radio is like right here and the grain leg was over here and there's a tree between you and they couldn't get to that, your signal's done. And we dealt with that a lot. Trees would grow and we'd have to go up and raise somebody's tower or have them cut down a tree or something. Those were the problems and the matters that we dealt with back then. But when I first met Sam, it was all of his friends and neighbors that he was helping out. Some of them would pay sometimes, some of them wouldn't. And I'm like, Sam, are they signing anything? Can we get our equipment back if they don't pay? Like, how are you managing this? And he was just winging it. He had a guy helping him. I think his name was Todd Peace. Nice guy. And I couldn't believe he had like 40 customers and not one of them had any kind of agreement or anything. So I created some little simple package, wrote it up, articulated it, put on the numbers. Hell, I don't know if it was law abiding or anything of that nature. It was just our way of saying, hey, this is what it is. This is what you pay. And I started tracking it in a spreadsheet and this and that. And before you know it, we had almost we were going to the fairs. We were getting people to sign up. We were going out and installing them. I would install 2 or 3 a day. He would install 2 or 3 a day. It was fucking maddening. And we got to the point where we had all this service now. And Sam goes off and sells the damn company. Didn't even talk to me about it. Todd Pease didn't talk to him about it. I guess we both were pissed that he sold the company. But he assured us that he was in control. That's the first time that I realized that I guess it wasn't the first time I realized that I had a lot of potential. I went to school because I realized I had a lot of potential. That happened when I was still working in factories and I started working in the office and in the factory because the office people and staff saw my ability to see the big picture and actually bring in clients. Of course you can bring in clients if you're doing well. If you know your audience, if you know your demographic, if you know your avatar, or whatever the new sales terms are, you know who you can go after and what they are looking for. If you're good at what you do, that is. So to me, that's one example of how I say growth, like Brad never missing a day at school. Me, coming in and helping businesses polish up their systems and develop ways to ensure things happen a certain way. Little by little did I not looking back now, I see exactly what I was doing. But back then I was just knee-jerk reaction. Whatever needed fixing, this was the best solution at the time. As I got bigger and better in my field, I learned that, those things I was doing were on the right track, but I wasn't fully doing it right. Or, that was better than nothing, but there's a better way to do it over here. You won't do it unless you do it. You won't get to a point of confidence unless you do it over and over and over and over and over again. I've been doing this a long time. So that goes into the next topic, which will be creativity. We're about 20 minutes in. And before we step into the second topic, let's take a break here from development and growth. And before we get into our other two topics, which are creativity and transference, let's take a moment to reflect on the show. Now, I did talk about in episode 50, I plan on doing a reflection, like a whole episode that's just like, look at what we've done. But we do take time in every episode. I should be taking time in every episode as part of our agenda, which I got to get all this lined out. I'm well aware of that. But these shows will continue. We have one focus a week if we can do it. Hopefully, when I miss a week, we have somebody else that can step in. We have a few people that's doing sessions right now, and it's learning what the desired state is and helping develop that desired state. The documentation and the lexicon around it, how we frame it and talk about it. So it's just all really good stuff. I mean, this is like Tony Robbins stuff, but at a much more digestible, real world, like, I don't know. I feel like talking to somebody that's been through some rough stuff. That's even made things harder on themselves. Like, I think we all do that to some degree, especially when we're having a hard time. We make things harder on ourselves because it's kind of a form of self-destruction, I guess. So I've been working on getting the documentation and stuff for this. Like, let me see if I can't where is, I'm going to share my screen. Where are you? Let's go to share screen, entire window. Here, we'll let you guys check out Winsky. Hey, Winsky. Get up on that screen there, y'all. Boom. All right, there's my Winksters. No, don't. Back to camera. All these prompts for apps asking to do stuff. I mean, this reminds me back in the Windows days where every time you went to do something, it'd ask, "Are you sure?" You have to say yes. You still have to do that if you're familiar with a pro system. Okay. What am I showing you guys? Let's take a review of the Creative Tech. This is a little embarrassing. It's been over 6 months, and I haven't put a lot of, again, we're not putting a lot of time and energy into the Creative Tech at this season, only because there's just so much to do. There's too much to do for us to be focused on it. So we're currently, I believe, at 33. The last time I looked, we may even be going down. We might be losing some users. Nope, still at 33. Awesome. Anybody new? Any pending posts? Any pending requests? Nope. We got 2 actions. So part of this whole thing is to show everybody that if you put time, especially our clients, our business clients, we are creating something called VCMO, which is a marketing product that we're talking about development today. You know, when there's a problem that needs solved, and right now the problem I'm seeing is all of our small clients, they don't have a marketing department, let alone a marketing plan or any kind of. Some of them do it okay. Some of them are making efforts, but none of them are doing it at a level that is focused on, like, holistically. For me, having internal and external communications is important. And if you're just sending out an email to the whole team every now and then, and everybody does, like, you know, one manager will send out an email to the whole team. If it doesn't come from the same place every time, you know, people, there's so much potential for issues and lack of consistency when we don't do things consistently, I guess. I don't know. But I know with the systems that we put in place and the systems that we're building for teams to communicate effectively and properly through SharePoint, things of that nature, this is important. So As I build this out, I'm showing all of you what there's two sides of this: personal development side of this, and then the overall where's the creative tech, how's it building out its practice, and what does the behind the scenes look like, so that way if I wanted to start something, I could. And even if you're not a client of mine, you should be able to get the value of what we do to some degree. Obviously, I mean, everybody can look this stuff up and ask questions to AI and all this and that. But having somebody with experience to sit there and coach and go through this and to truly assess your situation and to give you good, positive feedback that's going to help make real change, that's not there. AI is not there yet. And in order for you to do it yourself, it's very time consuming. So how can you get further? Well, you find somebody that can come in and learn your systems and adapt to your business and help you be empowered to do these things yourself. I don't want to be doing posts for my clients. I do them at the start, but I do it in a way where we find the voice, we build a system to where you can continuously and consistently, promptly communicate externally and internally. And it's just part of your day to day, and you're doing it without even thinking about it. It's just part of the way you work by putting things where they go. It's doing it for you. So stop winging everything and being consistent all over the place, and build systems, develop them to help you get through. It's a lot. I wish I had more focused work sessions. That's something I am working on right now, is how can I be more direct and boom, 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 boom. Is an hour session the right way? I go all over the place. Probably not the most ideal way to go with it. All right, let's go check out the Creative Tech site. Now, as I get more creative techs to help with this, I'm going to start inviting them in to this site, so that way they can work with the creative tech and provide sessions and things of that nature themselves. If you were to become a creative tech, you would have access to all of our documents, which here currently, whenever it decides to load, is where we keep all of our documentation for the most part. I gotta clean these files up here, but we have our tech influencers, which these I believe are just individuals and recordings and sessions and things of that nature. We got our social media. These are our different streams and posts and things that we've done. Saturday sessions. These are all the sessions that we've done. All right, you come in here, boop, got all these sessions. Here's today's session. So if I click on here, wait, that's not today's. That's back in what the hell? These are not in order, are they? Nope. Order. There we go. So here's today's session. We got the descriptor here, so you can see this is what gets posted. Have to generate this before the episode. I gotta get better at doing that. And then we have our stupid little thumbnail here that I have to generate. So once I create these two things, I'm ready to go live with the show. I have to go to StreamYard here. What I can do is this is a pre-show. This is the one I use for every Saturday before I do the show. I come down here and I get prepared for the show. I do like a little stream where I just basically just sit here and work and don't talk, maybe put on a movie and BS. If someone wants to chat, we can, blah, 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 blah. Opportunity to get some free support or free coaching. And then we get into the show. And yeah, so love StreamYard so far. It's made it easy. I get to, as you can see here, here's today's episode. If I enter the studio, which I don't want to do that because I'm literally streaming right now, and I don't know what this would do if I entered the studio. But if you were a guest on my show, you would come here, make sure your name's right and your title's right, and you would join the show. And then depending on what rights I gave you, you'd be able to control the show or either stay out behind the scenes and just do chats and cue things up for me or whatever. I'm doing it all solo right now, but I knew that when I was starting this, I knew I would do shows with guests and things of that nature. Based off my research, StreamYard's a very great interface for having a show where you're going to have guests on, things of that nature. OBS is a great free resource to help with streaming. I can do my virtual cameras, do all kinds of crazy stuff with OBS in the back end. Haven't really started using it yet. It's a free application. StreamYard, I think, was like $500 for a year. Anyway, just wanted to take a quick moment to explain to you guys some of the behind the scenes of what we're doing. Let's see how much time we got left. Got 2 topics left with 20 minutes. I still want to talk a little bit. Yeah, let's take a look at the influencer database here real quick. I definitely want to work on this. The influencer database is where we're going to track everybody that's involved and track influencers and people that we feel are creative technologists themselves. So that's where we are. We've got 33 people, 30 episodes, and Midwest Con is over, so that's made things a little bit easier, but I'm hoping that we pick things up and get ready for 2025 in a few weeks. Blink is going on right now, which is super awesome. I don't know if anybody's been able to go downtown. I have some videos and pictures from riding around down there on my one wheel. Oh, I got my one wheel GT back, and I've been in. Oh, it's been so amazing. I wish I had it all summer. Anybody want to go for a ride in the city? I got an XR and a pint. My stepson has a pint that sits here and collects dust. My XR sits by the front door because, you know, it's still beautiful and I ride it from time to time. Almost got 3,000 miles on that thing. I meant to hit 3,000 on it this year. I think I'm like 50 miles or maybe a little less than that. So maybe 5 or 10 rides, 5 to 7 rides, I'd be at 3,000 miles. That's crazy. Anyway, let's talk about creativity. Let's go ahead and we kind of looked at the past. We talked about the influencer database. We've had a few people do this. Schedule your sessions, and in the descriptor, in the show, you should see. So if we go back here, like for instance. Yeah, you can't see it that good. But we have our links here. Join the tribe. Fill out the alignment form. The alignment form is if you go to align.creativetech.ai, you'll land here on this form. You start it. You fill it out. And it's, what does it say? I think it gives you an estimated time. Like it's 20, 30 minutes maybe. Wow. I thought it gave like a little like this should only take so much time type little notification or something, but I guess not. Maybe not. Maybe not. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get back into it. Let's talk shop. Let's talk creativity. I kind of touched base on this a little bit earlier, but essentially, let me raise my desk up a little bit here. This is a little too low for me there. I won't be able to lean like this. I really hope I can be heard right now. I haven't looked at my audio settings. Hello, check 1, 2. I hope you don't sound like doo-doo. Probably do. Sound like doo-doo. That's what we do. You do what you do. I do what I do. We all do. All right. Distractions. Moana 2 is coming out. All right. Stay focused, Joseph. I'm tired. Hi, how's everybody doing? Let's get into it. Creativity. So, when we're developing things, doesn't matter what it is, we want to find solutions that are scalable and can help our clients grow. Now, I've had to develop a lot of solutions throughout my years and years and years. But some of the solutions that I really like right now, like our voice solution, I hired a phone guy 8 years ago, and we sold our first big job. And on the day of deployment, he quits. Well, I guess it was the few days before the deployment. He quits because his old job hired him back. He didn't even want to see the project through. Like, yeah, I know where your old job was, and I even told you didn't need to quit it. You could have still done this job while doing that. And now you're quitting this project to go do that job, and we got to get this. It just you don't do that. If you're a creative tech, don't do that. Don't say you're going to do something with somebody, and especially if you're the lead on it, and you're like, say, hey, yeah, let's finish this project, because what you just did is you burnt a bridge, and then you come back because everything we were doing, like I became the phone guy. I figured it out because I had to. Anyway, that's how I got thrown into being the phone guy, but I don't want to be the phone guy. So I wanted to find a great system that works. I picked some phones that I wanted to use. They had different price ranges, some professional ones, some not so fancy ones that, were super cheap. But, like my business partner at the time, he didn't understand the value and the importance of keeping things clean and simple. He was like, what about these snom phones? What about these, whatever the ones that start with G are? I almost said gateway, but that's a computer. And these phones were similar to what the gateways were, right? They just were a cheap, almost residential level phone for business. And there's so many different phone vendors out there, and all it is SIP, right? So it's SIP technology. So it doesn't matter what phone. If you're not a phone person or a geek, sorry if that doesn't make sense, but basically these phones should be able to work with pretty much any kind of digital provider. And we partnered with some company called Call Tower at the time that provided SIPing, because that's what we needed for 3CX. Anyway, a digital phone server called a PBX. We worked with some place called Call Tower, which gave us SIP trunks and gave us a way to give people phone numbers that would dial into the phone server, and then we sold these Yearling phones. I put it all together, so Call Tower plus 3CX plus the Yearling phones. I developed a phone service, a package, if you will, for $200 a month. You could have desk phones and all the features you ever want. Cincinnati Bell is going to charge us if we want to record the calls, or to transcribe the voicemails, or to have forwarding of calls after hours, or to have a auto attendant, or a IVR, or whatever, a virtual receptionist. Why not just own a beautiful piece of technology that everybody can use, that's intuitive? Even people that are not tech savvy will be able to use this phone system. You can use it on your cell phone, your computer, or there's these desk phones that we like the Yearling ones. Those are the ones we purchase. My partners wanted to buy all these other different brands. I'm like, no, because all those different brands have different firmwares and different types of settings in them. I want to stick and be consistent. If it's not Yearling, you go pick another one. He's like, well, yeah, those are the nicer ones for the right. Then stick to these. Well, they just released this other phone over here. I was like, is it really worth us changing everything we do to use that cheap phone? No. And we don't even want to think about that for 3 years, because once it's in the tech plan, it's there. We'll change it in 3 years from now. So if you have some things you want to improve on, put it in the pipeline, so that way when we get to the 6 months before the next MTP, we can discuss that. This is how I creatively took all these different things and put them together and start creating rules that I know would allow us to be consistent. That's my job, is to make sure that we're consistent. And that way, when somebody needs a new phone system, we can go, oh, you need a new phone system? Well, this is what it costs. This is what we can do. This is how we do it. It's all about making quick, simple decisions. And what happens when that phone server you're selling, which we are able to host our own server, and it changes. Now it's got to be in the cloud per 3CX's rules. Version 18 is the last one where you can do what you're doing. You're on to version 20, you got to get up in the cloud. Let's go. If I wasn't doing this for somebody, if we weren't the ones driving this, the clients were responsible for it, we'd be reactive every time this came up. But because we own it, we're taking care of it, we're doing the upgrades when needed, and we're pivoting and adapting, we're the ones getting paid monthly for the service. So by developing packages, teaching others, and again, I don't want to do this. I put together 8 service groups that we can sell to clients. And the break fix shop that I helped with this, they're the ones that are deploying these services now. These 8 service groups I created, we can put those with anybody that wants to sell services to their clients. You want to sell phone systems and secure IT management, Microsoft 365, all this to your clients? All you got to do is partner with us, and you're in the game. We will assess your abilities and where you are. We'll assess your clientele and where they are. And this is me continuously looking out where there's problems and creatively solving them. So any MSP now, I don't want to be a break fix shop. I turned this into an MSP, but I realized I don't want to be an MSP. That's what you guys are for. So I developed the MSP and transferred that down. Like, you guys keep that rolling. And I started Icora, which is a management firm that's, managing over the Cincy PCS MSP, and taking care of all the tech plans that it supports. So it's my creative way of working with all these people and structuring a framework to get them to understand and compartmentalize what it is that I'm doing. Because I'll be honest with you, if I was the one pulling all the decisions, I would need all the information in front of me before I can make a good decision. And I wouldn't want to be in anybody's shoes making the decisions they're making with the way they're working right now. It would drive me nuts. I need to know the information. So I find creative ways to make sure we find all the information to people when they need it, and to make sure that the tech stack and the way people are working are going smooth. I am excited because I've been on a journey trying to find a way to express what it is that we do. And UC, University of Cincinnati, is an amazing campus. If you've never seen it, it's pretty amazing. And their logo, I just learned the guy that designed the logo, helped design on the design team for the UC logo. He said that the white space between the U and the C resembles the campus yard or the makeup of the campus, or whatever it is. And there's so much that goes into thought with. Some people don't see the value in a logo. Some companies and brands have a logo that costs millions if they want to refine it or change it. Some other ones, it doesn't mean anything, right? Can you think of the Hilton logo? Or can you think of the Apple logo? The Tesla logo? Can you think of the, Charmaine, the toilet paper logo, or the, any commodity really? Anyway, the value and identity is pretty epic, and people don't get it. So by doing creative problem solving, by growing and getting really good, by getting the experience under your belt, by becoming that person, that resource that's able to help somebody solve problems creatively and quickly, that's a superpower. And it's something you can teach people this stuff. I really believe that. You have to be present. You have to know what we're talking about. You have to be engaged with the conversation. And if you get lost or you feel like you're not understanding something, stop and say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't making sense. Can you get me on? Because once you're off the page and you allow things to continue going, you're going to continue to be off the page until you're realigned. So keep that in mind. And then before we get into transference, before we dive into what you can do, I want to basically take a drink of my Red Bull and know that these shows are painful. I get that, but that's part of this beast. That's getting good at this and being able to provide value in these. It's difficult. So far today, what we've talked about is why is development so important to the creative tech? Well, we need to be able to grow. We need to be that lighthouse that people rely on for safe, not getting too close to danger, right? Hey, am I on the right path with this? Or am I secure enough when I do things this way? Or, hey, I want to go to this college, or should I get certificates instead? What is your desired state? How do you want to live? What decisions can you make? And what state are you currently in? We got to be real with that. Are you in a position right now? Doesn't matter how you got there. Doesn't matter. We don't blame anything. Don't put energy into that. I mean, we need to know what to avoid moving forward. We need to know who we can trust and who we can't trust. And again, it all comes down to control. What can we control? And how do we manage things that are not in our control? And are we good at defining what things are in our control? We have way more control and influence than most people think. And by understanding motives and understanding desires and people's wants, people want to be heard. People want to find the solution themselves. They don't want to be told what to do. So if you can help somebody, coach them to be a better player in a game to where they're able to solve these problems on their own, or at least find ways to get them to find the solution on their own, they're going to grow so much faster. They will. They're going to be so much better and stronger for it. And if you have ego, you definitely don't want to get into the training space. You don't want to get into the coaching space. And I have a lot of ego. I'll give it that. I feel pretty confident in my capabilities and what I want to do. And, when I'm throwing down, I'm throwing down. When I'm partying, I'm partying. When I'm working, I'm working. Like, I give it 120%. I want to get the most out of this life while I'm here. So, how do we take all that development? What do you, as somebody, as an avatar that wants to embody the creative tech, or at least get out of your current state into a more desirable state, what do you need to do? Well, you need to be real with where you are today. You need to figure out what problems need solved for you to get to your desired state. And as you develop these things, as you create and develop these systems for yourself to transform yourself, make sure you're working with those around you and letting them know about your journey. This isn't something that we all do on our own. We have to transfer this knowledge on to others. We have to get others to, let's say you have a partner and you start building systems for your life to get easier. How's your partner going to affect that? Is your partner going to be aware of the systems you're putting in place, and are they willing to work with your systems? You probably need to get with them to figure out their perspective, because we've had a show on collaboration, I believe, before. Let me double check that. Yes. Episode number, let me get rid of that. If you go back and watch episode number 17, we talked about collaboration. We talked about synergy first. That's the first topic of that one. Then we talked about unification. And then we talked about frameworks. That's what you need to take away, is you need to build your own frameworks So that way you know how to collaborate. And those frameworks that you need to do, that was the third topic, what you as a creative tech need to know and take away from the collaboration session is that you need to take frameworks. Now, maybe this show should have came before. Again, we just started this whole thing 6 months ago, or a little over 6 months ago. So I do see us when we hit around episode 50. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I need to have this conversation with the tribe, but essentially, I was thinking around episode 50. I don't know if I want to wait till 100. That's a few years. But around episode 50, a year into it, I thought about recycling, going back through, but maybe not doing all of the episodes in the same order, because we've developed a lot of the modern workforce and we've developed our frameworks. We're developing right now as we speak. What if when we went round 2 with all these focuses and they were coming in order with the framework we have? So the second iteration, 51 through 100, those episodes would be like round 2, reflecting on the, using our systems on the past year's work to redo it again and make it even better. Something along some kind of framework along those lines. You can start to do that kind of creative work with your systems once you have a framework, and documenting that framework so that way you can have all the sticky notes to put them where they go, right? Yeah, let me share my screen again. Let's go ahead and pull this little guy up here. You know what? I don't want to show you guys that one. Too much information. Let me show you this other window. You go away. Must have closed the said window I wanted to share. Oh, there we go. So, I need to get a folder link here for leadership episode number 25. 1 through 30. All right, anyway, here's all the shows. All right. Session 1, all the way up to session 30. Yeah. So my hope is at some point we have enough creative techs in here doing this, like the framework. I can train others and have them taking over the shows. In fact, I could have someone doing the weekly show for me. I don't have to be the one doing this. The creative tech is the thing that's bigger than me. You see, it's not about me. It's about the modern workforce. It's about developing the modern workforce. And I want the creative technologists, which I've met other people that consider themselves before I even, they never even heard of me and I've never heard of them. And they're calling themselves a creative technologist. Like on their business card, I'm the creative technologist and I'm doing this and that. Hi, fellow creative technologists. I don't think any of us are the creative technologists, because if there was one, just like in that South Park episode with everybody doing the Yelp reviews, everybody thinks they're the shit. I know that if there was one creative tech to rule them all, it would be me. Come on, my ego's not very big, but we know it would be me. I'm the most amazing tech there's ever been. No, that's not true. I'm the greatest. Yep. Anyway, I love the fact that I live in a world where there's some people that would really actually think that there's Cartmans in this world. And it's really nice to be able to look at somebody that does act that way and know that it's not you. I've never felt more confident and more proud of myself and where I am than I am today. I love my kids very much. Everything I do, I'm still fighting for them to be happy and to have their autonomy and for them to be strong, independent individuals in this world. So excited because after this episode today, after all the systems I've developed, after all that creative work that I've done, I've been able to transfer that knowledge to so many people. I have 700 plus users using the systems. I have about a dozen people that are helping develop and push those systems because they see the value in them. And I wouldn't be here today if I didn't grow the fuck up and do some self-development. Now I'm doing workforce development, modern workforce development. I want to give companies the modern workforce advantage. That's our new slogan that William just came up with yesterday. I don't know what it is yet. I think it's the modern workforce advantage. You want your company to thrive? Well, you need the modern workforce advantage. I want to grow the Creative Tech tribe to be huge. So many people working. You know, I got so many different, I got dental offices, I got, plastic surgery places. We've got, marketing firms. We've got, art restoration services. Like we support so many professional services, all kinds of weird lawyers and CPAs. When I say weird lawyers, I mean lawyers that do different, like shit you wouldn't think lawyers needed. But yeah, we have over 40 businesses that rely on us with over 700 users within those 40 companies. No website, just all of our systems that we've developed and pushed to all these people. And imagine doing this creative tech thing, getting good at marketing, getting good at talking about how we're defining and becoming the authority as we develop the modern workforce. If I could get good at making content and then talking to a camera, stay on point, make focus, add value, that's where we're headed. 30 episodes. I missed the one last week. I almost said, fuck it, I'm done. I'm quitting. No more of this shit. Nobody's watching anyway. Why am I even busting my ass for this? All I had to do is remind myself, back up a little bit, look at the channel, look at the different platforms that we're on, like 4 platforms: Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I was going to do Instagram, but it's got all these rules and it's a pain in the ass to set up through StreamYard. At least has been. Maybe it's gotten better the last few weeks. I don't know. I have no point or need to get on Instagram. I'll be posting anyway. But I feel like we've hit our hour. Another session out of the way, another week in the bag. Things I want to do to improve the show. There's so much. If I had in my agenda and had the show done in advance, I keep saying that. Do I have time today to make an episode for next week? So that way I don't have to worry about it. Not today, but hopefully tomorrow. And if I don't get to it tomorrow, it'll be Saturday before I get to do it. I just know that because my weeks are so. That's how confident I am in my struggles, or that's how confident I am in my structure and my discipline. And if it doesn't happen, if I don't get it done before Saturday, it's not the end of the world. I'll get there eventually. Yeah. I'm just happy that I was able to get the episode into the system here that we've developed. Get rid of this gap in a thumbnail here and a gap in a folder here, and just keep this thing looking healthy and strong. Get these numbers in here for people to start pushing to get more people to fill out the form and join the group. There's 3 steps. First step is join the tribe. Second step is align with the form. And the third step is to schedule your free session. We got a couple sessions coming up this week I'm excited about. Hit me up on LinkedIn if you haven't already. Subscribe to the Facebook, or subscribe to the YouTube channel. Join the Facebook group. And yeah. My white balance off. Do I look super orange or blue today? I really need help here. People, whoa, wrong button. There we go. All right, that's it. I'm calling it a day. I hope everybody has a great rest of your weekend. And as always, keep it heavy, keep it real, and I'll see you next time. Peace.